what no one else could
Mercy,
do.
mercy.
God,
Wide
he
open.
handled the things that nobody else could handle.
Mercy.
Look at God.
Look at it.
I believe, Elder Norman, that the psalmist was having a look at God moment. Look at it. I will bless the Lord
at all times.
And his
Praise
shall
it.
continually be in my mouth. Oh, magnify the
Lord with me.
and exalt his name together. Look at God.
Look at God.
Oh, about 3 years ago, my children were going through a difficult time in their lives. My daughter had just had a miscarriage, and then she had a condition that not only left her in great pain, but jeopardized her ability to ever have children. In fact, this time last year, she thought that she would never be able to have children. In fact, she had given up. What?
Mercy. Look at God.
I got a 9-month-old grandson. Check this out. I get to, since my wife is my grandson's babysitter, I have the best of both worlds.
Mercy.
I get to see my grandson every day, but then his mama takes him home every night.
Come on with it, Pastor. Yes, Lord. At the same time,
my son had finished grad school, and he couldn't find a job. That was a tough time. A daughter couldn't have a baby. Son couldn't find a job. We started praying, Lord, help my children. Oh, don't you know, a few weeks later, my son not only had one job offer, he didn't have 2 job offers. He had 3 job offers and turned down an interview for the 4th. Look at God. The things that are impossible with man are possible with God. Look at God. Is there anything too hard? Oh Lord, look at God. But you know what? You don't have to look at my life.
Mercy.
To see what God can do.
Come on with it, brother.
If you're honest, all you have to do is look at your life.
Look at mine.
Listen. If you're honest, you got some stuff that your credit report says you're not supposed to have. Oh, yeah. Don't front. You don't
I tell you.
that loan, to get that car. You know how you held your breath the whole time they were checking your credit, because you knew if they looked long enough, you knew if they looked hard enough, not only would they not give you the money to get your car, but they take back the one you got. Oh, but look at that. That's how you got that car. That's how you got that house.
There you go.
That's how you got that degree. That's how you paid that bill. It was not by your power. It was not by your might. It was God. Look at God.
Look at God.
James 1 and verse 17 calls him the giver of every good and perfect gift. You know what that means? It means that if you got something good,
Mercy.
God gave you.
Amen.
Yeah. Those good things in your life, they don't come from your good job.
Amen.
They don't come from your good income. They don't come from your good taste. They don't come from your good credit. But the good things in your life
Comes from God.
Look at God.
It's
Not you.
It's God. That's right.
Now look real quickly. Real quickly. Real quick. No. Look. It's not my notes. Let me tell you one more look at God story. For the first time since we got married, my wife's not working.
Mercy.
She is babysitting for my grandson. Let's give her a little something. But it doesn't replace the full-time job.
Amen.
It doesn't replace that full-time job. And so, now I'm throwing this in now. You know, the first thing when we decided that my wife was going to stay home this year, you know, about 5 years ago, we had bought a house. And so the house was bought on the assumption that both of us would work.
Come on now.
And so when she wasn't working, I said, Lord, how am I going to pay for this house? You know what the Lord said? And I'm not one of those persons who goes around saying, the Lord said this to me, and the Lord said that. Maybe I'm not as holy as you all. But see, I've been around y'all too long. I've heard you all say, thus saith the Lord. But I know the Lord hasn't spoken.
Mercy. Come on with it, Pastor.
But I'm saying, but Elder Morgan, I'm talking to the Lord, and I'm saying, Lord, how am I going to pay for this house?
Mercy.
You know what the Lord said? Who gave you that house?
Well,
Then I fought back. See, sometimes you got to look back over your life. I fought back how 5 years ago we put up our first house for sale. Now that was in the middle of the housing crunch. Nobody was selling houses. Nobody was buying houses. The bank wasn't lending any money. And so we decide to put up our 30-year-old house in a neighborhood that's changing. We decide to put up that house. And so the real estate guy comes in. He comes to our house. And you know, when you live here and live in the house 22 years. And so, you know, when you live in a house long enough, you get used to all the stuff that's wrong with it.
Yes. That's right. Come on.
And so the real estate guy comes in and he starts saying, look, you need to fix this, you need to fix that, you need to fix that, you need to fix that. $15,000 worth of stuff. Now, Norman, you know how much you make. I make 8% more than you. So you have $15,000.
Mercy.
No. But don't you know I can't explain it.
Mercy.
I can't figure it out.
Come on with it.
But we got that. We didn't borrow it. We didn't rob God to get it.
Well.
All I know is that every time I needed to write a check, that money was there. Look at God.
Mercy.
We put up that house in the middle of a recession, in the middle of the housing crunch. Don't you know that 6 days after we put that house up for sale, we got an offer for the full amount that we had. Look at God.
Mercy.
So when I said, Lord, how am I going to pay for the house? The Lord said, who gave you the house? Don't you know my wife hadn't worked since last spring? But we are better off financially than we were when she was working. Look at God! I'm telling you again, the things that are impossible with man are possible with God. Look at God!
Amen.
Here's our story. John 21. Here it starts off. Peter says, I go fishing. Verse 1 says that Jesus showed himself to the disciples. And some scholars suggest that Peter simply got tired of waiting for God to show up.
Mercy.
And by the way, people still get in trouble because they get tired of waiting on God. It's not that they don't believe that God can supply all their needs. They just get tired of waiting. Ladies, it's not some of you are in bad relationships right now.
Mercy.
Because you couldn't wait on God.
Mercy.
Some of y'all, when the offering plate went by, you kept God's money because you couldn't wait on God to do what he said he was going to do. And
Come
so
on, Pastor.
Peter got tired of waiting. So Peter said, I go fishing. The other disciples said, we will go with you. But look at what verse 3 says. That night, they caught nothing. They were experienced fishermen, but that night, they caught nothing. They had had enough success as fishermen that they made their living catching fish. They were wealthy enough to have their own boat, but that night, they caught nothing. They knew how to fish. They knew when to fish. They knew where to fish. But none of that meant a thing. The Bible says that night they caught nothing. Oh, listen, is there anybody here today who's ever had a that night experience? Oh, listen, spouse were doing pretty well. Oh, you thought that you had a pretty good marriage. Oh, but that night, your spouse said, we need to talk. They said, I've got something to tell you. And yeah, it was that night. Oh, you thought your son was home safe in bed, but then you got that phone call at 2 a.m. Let me tell you, as a parent, there's no such thing as a good call at 2 a.m. It was that night. Oh, you thought that it could never happen to your daughter.
Right?
No, you weren't too sure about that boyfriend, but you said, my daughter would never do that. Oh, but that night.
That night.
You said, Mama, Daddy, I've got something to tell you. It was that night, and if you're going through a that night experience, I'm glad to tell you that God has a word for you. John 21 and verse 3 says, that night they caught nothing. That night they were frustrated. That night they failed. That night it was hard. That night it was long. That night it was difficult. That night they were ready to give up. Oh, but then verse 4 says, then the morning came. Oh, somebody missed their shout right there. The morning came. You know what that means? It means that no matter how long, no matter how long, your night is, no night lasts forever. Sooner or later,